The most naughty is Vikas. Everybody says he doesn't say anything. He's the most naughtiest, I have to tell you. I think what makes a cook is different experiences when you try different foods, different flavors, and then how you learn to incorporate it in your own style. I think that's very important. So travel is a very essential part of being a good cook. I think my two biggest supporters, one is my father. He's been a big support system for me, and I think everything I have today, the way I am, I owe it all to him. And I think second would be my husband. I think it was Shanta and Marina who
Yes.
cooked together, Chef Marina. That was a wonderful dish. I think just the fact that the entire meal was sattvic, there was so much purity in that moment.
My first and foremost question to you is that, how has the journey been being a debutante to as a judge, and how has it been in MasterChef for you?
Debutante, what do you mean?
So this was your first season as a judge, right?
Yeah,
So how has it
that's
been?
correct. Yeah, I mean, it was all very new and very different for me. I've always just been in the kitchen. I've never been in front of a camera. So it was a very different feeling, it was something new. But luckily, I think between Ranveer and Vikas, I had some really great co-hosts, and they were very welcoming and very sort of caring, and they made it so much easier. And I think in the bargain, the best thing that's happened, I've made two great friends for life, and I'm really happy about that.
So when we talk about the season, it got a lot of mixed reactions. It had the equal amount of trolls as well as everyone was very happy seeing the season back. So what was your reaction? Because you and Ranveer were the most people who were tagged in all the trolls. So tell me about that. How did you take them?
I mean, I have nothing to say. I guess everybody's entitled to their opinion and what they think of things. But for us, it was all in good spirit. And for me, it was very exciting to see each and every home cook. I think the kind of pride and respect they had for their own communities, the cuisines that they were representing. There was some such beautiful regional food that we got to see in this season. So for me, that was very exciting to see. I learned a lot from them, each one of them. So it was very exciting.
So, there was this one troll that was like practically trending for some time where, they clicked a picture of you where you did not have food in your fork and they said that you're pretending to eat. So,
I do realize that we take a lot of bites, and sometimes you think there is food in your fork and there's not. And finally, what makes it to the edit makes it to the edit. There's nothing to be, I mean,
that's right.
There's hardly anything to comment on. I don't think too much about it.
So,
I didn't get this size by not eating. Let me tell you that. I put on 5 kilos during this whole season, so I got there by eating.
So I believe the dishes were extremely delicious that you all couldn't stop from having a next spoon of it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, the arc of every single home cook has been spectacular. I think they came to the kitchen as home cooks, and you have to understand, we are not judges or mentors. Basically, our job is to kind of give them as much training as possible, like what we go through, said 8 or 10 years of cooking in professional kitchens in a matter of 2 months. You kind of have to consolidate all of that experience in a short period of time. So you see a lot of development, a rapid development in each one of them, which is really fun to see how every person reacts to it. So it was overall very interesting to see, the skill of every home cook growing, them becoming from home cooks to chefs. That journey was very, very interesting to see.
So who was that one home cook that really, left you stunned with their growth in the season?
I think everybody for very different reasons. You have to understand, by the time we got to the end of it, the finalists that we had, each one of them represented a very strong thought process. So I think it comes to a point after a while, there is no point comparing cooks. It's like you can't compare 2 or 3 or 4 different artists to each other. In that way, I don't think you can compare these guys to each other. So I think people who do not understand what it is to kind of have your own signature with food. Everybody is different. Everybody has their strengths. Everybody comes from different communities. Everybody approaches food and the spice and the history and the anthropology of food very differently. And that shows in their plates. So every home cook, I think, took a journey which was remarkable to see. And the 6 finalists that we actually ended up with, each one of them I have nothing but great respect for.
So, talking about the behind the scenes, when we talk about all you chefs, who was that prankster in your team, you had the most fun with?
The most naughty is Vikas. Everybody says he doesn't say anything. He's the most naughtiest, I have to tell you.
So any fun anecdote of your pranks or the fun moments of the BTF?
Yeah, so when I first started, for me everything was new, right? I have never been in front of a camera. I don't know what sets are like. I don't know who does what. So the first 1 week, I used to just hear him yell out, "Baby ke liye coffee lao, baby ke liye coffee lao," and then I would, like, 1 hour later, I'd get Starbucks coffee, and I don't even drink coffee. So I was like, why are people getting me coffee? And I would keep saying no. So baby was actually him. तो मेरे नाम पे he would say, बेबी को गर्मी लग रही है, बेबी को कॉफी ला, but it was all for him and not for me. बेबी के लिए नारियल पानी लेके आओ. So everybody thought baby was me. But a couple of days later, everybody realized that this is Chef Vikas being Chef Vikas.
So how was your experience, taking the home cooks to Abu Dhabi and having a different experience with them and obviously judging them out there?
Yeah, it was great. I think for some of them, it was the first time they were leaving the country, which was really great to see. I think what makes a cook is different experiences when you try different foods, different flavors, and then how you learn to incorporate it in your own style. I think that's very important. So travel is a very essential part of being a good cook, or exploring your cooking repertoire. So I hope they got a chance to do that. And it showed in the food. I think the first couple of nights when all the home cooks were out trying different foods and everything, going to the markets, and then they started doing the challenges. All these different breads and spices that we saw during those challenges was super fun.
So when we say that you were one of those mentors to them, what would be your advice as a chef, as they are all a budding chef ahead? So what would be your one advice to them when they step out in the market with their own brands or with their own properties coming ahead?
I think it really depends what is that their end goal is, right? But for me as a chef, we never know everything. We have to be, I always say, I know nothing. We have so much more to learn. Always be inquisitive, always taste, always try new things, always learn new techniques, meet new people, see what other people are doing. That's the passion of cooking. It's a passion for life. It's a passion to live. It's that need to kind of live life through food. And if those are the kind of experiences one is looking for, you'll never stop learning in this field. That is, if somebody says, I know everything about food, or I know everything there is to know about food, that's the time you stop growing and you stop learning and you stop growing as a chef. So yeah, they have so many new opportunities ahead of them. They should work hard. They should grab every opportunity they can to do something new, try something new. So I wish them all, every single one of them, all the best.
So, as we talk about you as a person, from journalism to being a MasterChef judge, what are the most highlights of your life that you would like to, keep in a box of memories, or how has it been for you as a journey in the phone?
I think my journey is still going on. I have not really started putting things in boxes yet. I have such a long way to go, I feel. But I think the most beautiful thing about life in general is the people you meet. I think just surrounding yourself with positive, intelligent, good-natured, well-meaning people I think that is what life is about. And I've been very lucky that I've met some amazing people right from, my culinary days, my journalism days to today. And those are the people that I like to share my life with and my meals with. So I'm a happy person.
So who has been that powerhouse of support for you all these years?
I think my two biggest supporters, one is my father. He's been a big support system for me, and I think everything I have today, the way I am, I owe it all to him. And I think second would be my husband. He's been again one of those few rare breed of men who are so supportive of their wives and the women in their life. I think I don't know a lot of other men who would put up with my hours and my goals and my dreams. And he's been, he's never made me one feel guilty about it. In fact, he's always been so proud. So lucky to have him in my life.
So, coming back to MasterChef, was there any moment where you felt that I'm too new for this and how will I go around and how would this be? Any hesitation that you came across?
Yeah, I mean, you have to understand, I come from a kitchen environment, which is a very high-paced environment. It's a high-pressure environment. We are very direct. We are to the point in the kitchen. We can't afford to, tiptoe around things. So I think for me, understanding first that I'm dealing with home cooks and not professional chefs, that was a big attitude change that I needed to have. I think it taught me as a teacher, like what it is to teach people. Because we get chefs who are trained, right? And of course, we start training them from a lower sort of a position up until they're sous chefs and sometimes head chefs. But when people come with a lot of knowledge but not training, that's the difference, right? So we have chefs in the kitchen that may not come with a lot of knowledge, but they come with a lot of training. But home cooks have a lot of knowledge, but very little to no training. So that change in sort of a teaching attitude and a mentoring attitude, I think that was something which was very interesting for me to undergo. I learned a lot about myself in that, and I think that was probably the biggest change for me. And I think understanding TV as a medium was interesting as well. I mean, I went back home after 15 years. I came back to India after 15 years in so many ways. I haven't spent 2 months overall in 15 years that I did in the last 2 months in shooting for MasterChef. So for me, it was a homecoming which was very warm and very nice. And honestly, everybody's been so welcoming, so loving. It's been very good to get back home.
So were you always curious, when they were making the dish, that you would just want to go and help them out? Or you would just, if you see them going wrong, and did you have that thing in your mind that, oh, should I just go and tell them? Or how did you control yourself?
Of course we do. Of course. I mean, that's our job. We don't want them to fail. We want each and one of them to succeed. But the format of the program is such that there is a limit to how much we can do. Right. We can only guide them. We can only tell them what's the correct way. We can show it to them once, but it's finally they have to do it. So the format of the show doesn't let you, I guess, it's not a cooking school, right? The format is not a cooking school format, but of course you kind of have to guide them in the right direction and hope that they pick up as they go along.
So any such dish that you remember that you really wanted to fix it as soon as you get it?
I think it happened in one of the earlier episodes when Ba was still there and she was trying to make those noodles. And I know, I couldn't stop myself. I had to go help her out. So I remember doing that because she was struggling with the pasta machine. But it was great at that age. Imagine she pulled out a pasta machine. Of course, the contestants go through a 2-week boot camp, a training period where they learn to work with different equipments before the competition begins. So, of course, she knew what she wanted to do with that. But like I said, you have the knowledge, but not the skill. And at that point, you do the right thing and you help them out.
So, now that one season is over and there shall be another season coming up soon or late, do you want to still be a judge and continue this journey?
Oh, I don't know about that yet. We've just wrapped up this season. So Yeah, I mean, for me, I've just gotten back to my restaurant. We have a lot of work pending here. We have 2 new restaurants opening up this year, so there's a lot of work that I need to get done, and I think that's what I'm focusing on for the time being.
So I have this one question that I came across in the whole season. Everybody, I guess every viewer uh, thought that all the chefs were biased towards Aruna. But what is your take on it? Because I think it was a very long season where most viewers were against the fact that every chef wanted to see Aruna grow in the season in home as a home cook.
Yeah, I really have no answer to that perception. I mean, like I said, there are people who perceive that, and there are people who, like you yourself, perceive something else. I think everybody's entitled to their own perception. I have no comments on that.
Home cook's dish you thought was worthy of your restaurant's menu card and you would pick it for
Oh, there
sure.
were so many. I can't remember. We've said it also so many times. Like, I would put this on my menu. It's been so good. And I can't remember it. You realize, like, it's been like so many months since we wound up shooting. It's difficult to remember now. But there are so many. But this is what I mean. They try 9 out of 10 times, things don't work. But the 10th time that it does, you really see something truly marvelous. Like, when you taste it, you're like, wow, this is something special. So when you come across something like that, the feeling is, yeah, wow, this could be in a restaurant. So, yeah.
So there was one moment where, even Ranveer got extremely emotional having Chandrakala. So how was that experience, that whole Satvik meal?
That was a very well put together dish. I think it was Shanta and Marina who
Yes.
cooked together, Chef Marina. That was a wonderful dish. I think just the fact that the entire meal was sattvic, there was so much purity in that moment. It was just super delicious. Like, have you ever been to a place where you get, like a hole in the wall sort of a joint where you get the most delicious thali ever? It's just so lovingly and purely cooked. I think that was that moment. Uh, yeah, I mean, I know Ranveer was very emotional about it, but it was a very stunning dish. It tasted extremely good.
So one message that you
Sometimes
would
food
like.
can do that. It moves you sometimes.
True.
That was a very moving. That was a moving dish. Both these women and their temperaments are very similar, and their approach to food is very similar. I think they both come from a very wise and calm sort of a place. And when they think about food, Marina used to be an intern at GA, and then uh, she went back to India and then started her own home restaurant, which is doing extremely well now. And she's always believed in sattvic food and vegetarian food and the temperament of food. And she is very instinctively she's able to incorporate these things in her food. And when her energy met Shanta's, I think it gave. See, this is why we get all these chefs in as well, right? You can identify with energies of people. I think it gave Shanta a voice. She understood who she could be.
Right.
I think before that, for the time, it was like surrounded by so many different style of cooking. Every cook is so good in that kitchen, so you kind of sometimes struggle to find your own voice and your own style. But the minute you're paired with another chef, a professional chef from outside, it opens up your mind in so many different ways. Like, this is what I can be, or this is what I don't want for myself. So that moment was Shanta's moment where she understood her own style of cooking. I think that was very nice to see them both together.
Great. So one message that you would like to give your fans, now that MasterChef is ending.
Yeah, I mean, keep cooking, keep eating. Don't let the love of food ever die. I'm sure MasterChef is going to be back very, very soon again with, more home cooks, more food, more recipes. But yeah, meanwhile, keep yourself fed.
All right. So I'll wrap it here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
It was
you.
a
Take
great
care. Bye,
conversation to
Shruti.
have. Thank you.